Welcome, bienvenue, and willkommen. My name is Kelly Lamb. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Miele, and welcome into our home today. Many of you, or all of you, continue to remain safe in your home during these very challenging times that we're all facing. But you've also continued to reach out to us, and we want to be sure we're here for you to cover all the topics or questions that you may have about products that you already have in your home. Many of you are actually considering purchasing some of the products and have some more questions, and we hopefully be able to demonstrate and answer those questions you may have. Over the past weeks of Miele Live, we've covered a variety of topics, and in the coming weeks, we'll continue to cover various topics from dishwashers to steam cooking to which is the best cooktop for me. And these are questions that you've had for us. Pour ceux d'entre vous qui ont demandé pour avoir des sessions en français, on va avoir des sessions que vous pouvez voir dans les semaines qui viennent. Miele Live is completely interactive. If you're watching us on your YouTube channel or through YouTube, be sure to register or log in on your YouTube channel, and you can leave your questions in the comments section there. If you're watching us on Miele Live, be sure to register with us. Then you can actually ask your questions through the comment section through mielelive.ca. We'll try to cover those questions that you may have during this session. If we're not able to, we'll be sure we're able to leave the answer for you in the comment section. Or if your question is a little more detailed, we will email you the response you're looking for. This week, we've been celebrating and preparing to celebrate Mother's Day. And all of us will be doing that at home with our mom or via Skype or any other digital communication we may have if you're not living with your mom. And one area is, a lot of times mothers would have passed down things for all of us that we really want to take care of. And some of that could be garments. So we have our product expert, Mike, with us. Good afternoon, Mike. Welcome back.
Dankeschön, Kelly.
And you're going to share with us how the Miele laundry machine can maybe help our customers, our viewers, take care of those finer garments.
Yeah, let's talk about fabric care, right?
Absolutely.
Laundry systems have the first mission or objective in life, and that is to wash your garments, textiles, fabrics, etc. But really, that's just, I think, half the battle. I think the next phase is an extreme care for those fabrics because, let's face it, if you're into fashion or if you're into caring for your fabrics, if you're into extending the lifespan of your garments, you want to take a certain number of precautions to make sure that those look as good as the day you bought them. So Miele fabric care systems, and we don't call them necessarily washing machines or washers and dryers. We call them fabric care systems because in essence, they're really good at washing. They're really good at getting stains out. And at the same time, the balance is really struck when it comes to fabric care. So what are some of the things that we're doing in our washing machines? And we're going to take a look at some of those things and we're going to jump right into it. So thanks for joining us. You may have noticed a change of setting with this red wall. We're in the inner recesses of our testing/training facility here at Miele Canada. So we've got a set of W1, T1 right in front of us here. And so we're going to be showing some things that we've done to care for fabrics. Not only wash them, but certainly step up that attention to detail when it comes for preserving the lifespan of your garments. So this is the W1 and that is the T1 heat pump dryer. And just to get started really quickly, what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask Kelly to pick out one of these lovely live fresh roses. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a demonstration for you. Obviously, we don't normally wash flowers, but we're going to ask that Kelly maybe picks out a nice rose, and he's done a good job so far.
And these are fresh roses that you actually picked up on the way in this morning.
Certainly. And so I just ask you to maybe break the stem off, maybe 10 or 12 centimeters. Oh, you got some scissors handy, so look at you, so prepared. Okay, so I'm going to turn this program rotary selector, and that's how you would turn on a Miele washing system. You would select one of a number of programs. This particular machine has upwards of 18 specific programs meant to meet your needs based on the fabric, garment, or type of washing you're going to be doing. In this case, there is no flower setting or rose setting, but we're going to select a hand wash setting. So Kelly, why don't you place that rose in here? And now, Kelly...
You better take care of that. I need that for Mother's Day, actually. So
sure, don't touch any of the other ones because I'm going to take the other 11.
Okay.
So the inner drum, if we're looking at the inner drum, we see this beautiful cascade of LED light shining in on this, I'd say, arguably a work of art. It is a really nice sculptured drum. You'll notice the hexagonal patterns that are formed at our factories in a proprietary method of manufacturing that drum. Some of the other things that you may notice by looking at that inner drum are the size of perforations and the quantity of perforations. Those perforations are only about 2 millimeters wide as far as diameter goes. Why is that important? It basically means that your clothes have less chance for mechanical action and the degradation of those fibers when it comes to spin speeds, etc. But also their shape and the formation of the hexagons leads to excellent draining off when it comes time to drain out the drum, as well as the pattern in this particular situation. If you look at them, they're actually concave and they promote this sheeting effect. So as your garments and textiles are tumbling in the drum, this shape or this sculptured drum actually promotes this sheeting effect that actually cushions clothes as they rotate through the drum. So this is super important and one of the key fundamentals for us here at Miele when it comes to fabric care. So I've talked enough. I've just closed the door on our drum. The light slowly fades down and I've selected hand wash on a rotary selector. It gives me some defaults. It gives me available options. In this particular program, we're going to mimic in a machine or in a washing machine what you would normally get with a hand wash. And I'm just going to hit start. But before I do that, I'm going to remove, because we can, remove, in this particular program, we can remove all spin speeds from that final spin. And that's, I think, the ideal situation here, especially considering we're going to be washing a rose. It also gave me a default temperature setting, and that is also within a certain number of parameters. The washing machine itself, in most programs, will basically go between cold water intake all the way up to 60 degrees Celsius, depending on the program you select. And if you go into our sanitized program or clean machine program, you can actually get up to about 75 degrees Celsius. Why 60 degrees Celsius? Well, in the majority of our programs, that's the upper limit. For example, in normal, which most people will live in, at that 60 degrees Celsius will be the max temperature. And that's basically because we at 60 degrees Celsius can achieve amazing wash results, but also balancing the subject of efficiency. So the machine at 60 degrees Celsius gets maximum results from a stain removal and washability perspective, fabric care as well. But we don't really need to go up to 70, 75 degrees Celsius in most programs. But the capability is there in the machine. Now the program we've selected is a hand wash. Now this is great because typically if you have a really nice silk scarf perhaps, maybe a family heirloom, a nice French Hermes scarf. Face coverings are quite the thing these days. And if you need to wash a fine silk garment, typically you would hand wash in a sink, or you would entertain the possibility of maybe bringing to a dry cleaning. This stops with a W1 machine because of this tailor-made program. If you remember some of the variables in some of our other laundry talks, there are 4 main variables when it comes to good wash results. Number 1 is mechanical action. We talked about that. We also talked about temperature. That's an important variable. The other one is time. And the final and 4th element that really makes for a good wash is detergent. So with those 4 variables and Miele's auto dosing system, and we'll talk more about detergent in a minute, but by selecting this hand wash program, you take all the guesswork out of laundry and the chore of normally doing laundry. The drum rhythm takes care of itself. It's going to select a drum rhythm it's on a hand wash program. This machine is running. There's a lot of soaking happening in this machine. The level of water on a hand wash program is significantly higher sometimes than a normal wash program as a ratio to what's actually in the drum. And that basically means that the machine can detect what you put in the drum as well. So it's got automatic load recognition. And so it's detecting that there's not a lot of fabrics or garments in the machine itself, but it's put ample water in there to provide that cushioning effect in a rotation and also provide a good soaking for the hand wash to take place.
But Mike, and we talk a lot about it, especially when we talk about Miele laundry systems, fabric care systems, as well as our dishwashers, is around the topic of sustainability. Features as you talked about, the load sensor, and not putting too much water where it's actually really not needed, really lends to the sustainability aspect that really is part of Miele's core philosophy.
Yeah, so that is a absolute core philosophy for us. We want to achieve great results. We build quality product. We're taking care of fabric for extending the life of your fabrics and textiles. But at the end of the day, one of the fundamental kind of underlying principles for us is always going to be efficiency. Hence why we only go up to about 60 degrees Celsius in most of our programs. Hence why we have automatic load recognition in our washing machines. Hence why we have heat pump drying technology in all our T1 dryers, which basically make them eligible for Energy Star recognition in the North American marketplace. And in the rest of the world, really, we're achieving A+ ratings as far as energy efficiency goes for a dryer, which is really unheard of.
Absolutely.
Especially when compared against conventional drying systems that you may be familiar with, which is the North American philosophy of throwing your room air through your machine, heating it up on a super hot heater bank, and then throwing it outside with a little bit more moisture. And that cycle of running air through your home is very inefficient. And of course, with heat pump drying, you eliminate that all.
And I think, we have a viewer with us today, Kim. Thanks for joining us. I know you have a question specifically about the heat pump drying and condenser dryer, so we will definitely get back to that question, but just want to make sure that that we see your question, and we'll get to it in a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good question, and we will talk about that in a minute. But just back to fabric care, NT1 and efficiency, and talking about the economic benefits of drying. So you have obviously that benefit of not having to heat and throw out room air. But the machine is actually very efficient, runs basically almost on a sealed system. It doesn't return moist air to your room, so it doesn't affect the ambient temperature or living spaces that the machine is actually operating in. So it's really nice that way. And then from a fabric care perspective, you're not superheating your fabrics and textiles.
When it's not needed, especially.
When it's not needed.
Because again, when you talked about it earlier, and I know we talk a lot about those 4 elements, because it's not just one thing that's going to take care of your clothes and clean it. It's really those 4 elements, from the mechanics, the chemistry.
Time, and then of course the 4th element as well. So I just want to remind our viewers that we are washing a rose. I'm praying that this comes out well, because it is a live rose, and so we're washing it in our hand wash program. And again, we're just pointing to the elements of washing now your silks at home, maybe fine linens that you would typically not think of washing at home.
Well, and I know we also have things that we have here that that cherished teddy bear sometimes that needs to
What's his name?
get washed. This is
Marcus?
Herr Miele.
Herr
Miele.
Very
this
nice.
is a Steif bear that is actually a Miele toy product that we offer, but sometimes taking care of those cherished childhood memories.
Yeah, I have a puppy at home who's 11 years old, and I've had the same stuffy basically for the entire lifespan of this dog. It's the one toy that this dog keeps coming back to, and I care for it in my Miele laundry system for a decade, and this thing has held up really well over the years. And same thing which you just mentioned, family heirlooms that are being passed down. You would not hesitate to care for it in a Miele laundry system. So what are some of the other things that we got going on here from a fabric care perspective? Why don't we open up the drum in our dryer, Kelly, really quickly?
Yep, absolutely.
So when you open up the dryer, you see a honeycomb pattern sculpted drum as well. The other thing I want to point to in this drum is, I'm just going to rotate the drum slightly, and maybe we can see that lifter bar here. But the entire drum there's no one specific point in this drum which is detecting for moisture. The sensor is essentially the entire drum, the lifter bars. It is a circuit that is detecting for residual moisture. And so these dryers, all the benefits we've just explained, but they're also operating on the principle of just drying enough to get your clothes to where they need to be. And you can select programs that actually have additional residual moisture in them, or you can have them so that they're completely dry. The entire drum is detecting that residual moisture. So you're not going to subject your clothes to unnecessary mechanical action or higher temperatures than you actually need to. The drum will detect that level of dryness and stop essentially when it's done. Okay, so I wonder if we should pull out our rose yet. Should we let it go a little longer?
Maybe we'll let it go a little bit longer. Do you mind taking maybe a couple of questions while we wait for that? So we were talking about hand washing. So we have a question from Shelby from Toronto. And Shelby has a question is, would you use hand wash for Cashmere?
Yeah, so hand wash is a program that I would so anything you would normally wash in your sink, you just got to think of it in real life terms. But we have, for Cashmere's, I would maybe suggest our woolens program. So it just changes slightly. There's not a heck of a lot of differences, but we do change some of the variables in that drum rhythm, in that water level and temperature setting. And you're able to achieve quite similar results. But if your machine, your W1 washing machine, such as the one we have here, we actually have a purpose-built woolens program as well that you can wash and get at your cashmere as well. And yeah, you can certainly wash that in your W1 washing machine. The other element that we haven't really talked about is chemistry.
Yeah, I was going to say that because when we talk about taking care of delicate things, like one of the 4 elements you talked about is the chemistry of it. You know, can we use any detergent, or what would we recommend?
So yeah, what would we recommend? We have in 2 of our W1 washing machines the capability of integrating automatic dispensing of detergents with auto dose down below. And we would insert 2 separate cartridges, one with Ultra Phase 1, the second with Ultra Phase 2, and that's going to take care of about 90% of your laundry needs on an ongoing basis. But for specialty fabrics and textiles, we also have a solution that's called cap dosing. Mm-hmm. So for those situations where you're washing your woolens or your cashmeres or your silks even, we formulated and brought to market a single-use cap system that you would put in the detergent drawer and use it with the specialty fabrics that you'd be washing. So for permeable sportswear, breathable sportswear like dry fit or Lululemon material, stuff like that, you maybe want to use the sports program. It's got an odor absorber to basically neutralize unpleasant smells, etc. In the case of cashmeres, this particular product's really cool because it's got a protein in it that actually works to care for those natural fibers in woolens and silks. So really nice product. And again, these are single-use cartridges you would put in the detergent drawer.
Can you maybe open one up, Mike, just to show
let's take a look.
what the
Maybe I'll open
cartridge
this one
looks
here.
like? I think that one's open.
So these cartridges would basically look like so, and they are slid into this detergent drawer. I'm not going to open it now, but you would just close the cap on it, and the laundry system basically would pull this detergent at the right time in the wash exactly. So it's not going to do it too early. It's not going to do it too late in the wash, taking that guesswork right out of the care of your woolens, for example. This cap's for booster. What is this? This is really good for kicking up the stain removal properties of your detergents. It's got a really unique blend of enzymes that are really great and tough on stains to kind of really act on stuff that's got some really stubborn stains set in. So just keep in mind, so this is part of the chemistry that we're talking about. You don't necessarily need to run Ultra Phase 1 or 2 down below or use our cap dosing system. If you're used to using, conventional detergent that you've used for years,
Absolutely.
the fabric detergent dispenser is conventional and accepts powder, liquid, fabric softener, bleach if you really need to go there, and use chlorine bleach. We wouldn't recommend it because I don't think anything worse for your fabrics, especially if we're talking about fabric care. I think I just said bleach. Yeah. That's a bad word. Our Ultra Phase 2, which is part of our auto dose setup, is an oxygenated bleach. So it still has the stain removal properties of normal chlorinated bleach, but it doesn't have all the caustic side effects that you would get from a normal chlorinated bleach chemical. Okay, so.
Do you mind maybe taking a question?
Yeah, let's take a question.
That would be great, because we have a couple of questions we need to try to get to. So Penny out there, welcome Penny to Miele Live. Penny's question is, my clothes come out of the laundry very wrinkled. Is there anything Penny could do?
Okay, so your clothes come out of the laundry very wrinkled. What can you do? You can enact or change some of the variables that we're talking about. I would invite you to change some of the programs that you're using to wash, and you're getting certain results. I would maybe recommend either turning down the spin speed in the final spin, and you can change that from, depending on the program, for down to about 400 RPM to all the way up to 1600 RPM. Keep in mind that if you're spinning your clothes at 1600 RPM, you are essentially getting those fabrics in a vortex almost and spinning at really high centrifugal force. Really good to extract moisture, but the side effect is oftentimes wrinkling. And so important to note that you may see different results if you can turn down those final spin speeds.
And Mike, it may also depend on what Penny is actually washing and drying as well, because we have specific programs for specific things like dress shirts and other things that, again, if you're, we talked in previous sessions and you mentioned the importance sometimes of also our laundry habits and separating certain things that should be washed together and other things should be washed together. So I think that may be another option.
That's a good point, Kelly. We've talked about separating by colors, separating by care instructions as well, washing likes with likes. So that's an important factor. Also, you want to keep in mind that in this top of range T1 dryer, we also have a smoothing function that actually has the capability of injecting steam into the finish process as well. So for dress shirts, you're actually removing some of that moisture from a reservoir, heating it up in a steam generator, and then putting steam into the drying process as well, also adding to anti-crease and anti-wrinkle results. So also something to keep in mind.
Perfect. So maybe the next question, Mike, is in some ways related. So Matilda out there, Matilda, thanks for joining us as well. What's the best setting for drying sheets so they will be smooth? So I would assume for drying, not like the drying sheets per se, but
drying linens, bed
linens, yes.
Okay, so this is a challenge for any front load laundry system. Basically, is these big sheets of bed linens and how they come out wrinkled. I would recommend, there is an actual, depending on the washer that you have from our lineup, there is a bed linens program that's going to enact some positive drum rhythms, but it's really a tough thing. We sometimes will go so far as to recommend, especially in the dryer, using the tennis ball method, which basically has a ball tumbling and pushing these sheets up against the drum and providing more air into pockets, and then reducing that tangling effect that you sometimes would get in the bed linens wash. It's a tough item. Separating out your pillowcases is probably a good thing, and I would say recommend it, and try using a tennis ball in that drying program as well.
Perfect. I do want to get to Kim's question because she's been inquiring with us. She is a longtime customer of ours about the pros and cons of condenser drying. So we talked previously a little bit more about vented, but condenser drying versus our new heat pump technology.
So, okay, good question. We still, at Miele Canada, believe it or not, it's a little known fact, but we still have our previous generation that we're still available to sell off.
For a little
that
while.
are for a little while, very few remaining quantities, and so it's a fair question. And some people may still have these in their home, and they want to know if it's worth upgrading to heat pump. Condenser is the drying system is similar in principle, but it is essentially a cycle where it takes your room air, runs it into the machine, picks up some moisture, is heated, and then that moist, warm air is then put into your room or into your home, which is probably not ideal. It's also condensing some of that moisture as well into a reservoir, but the condenser itself, the difference is that in a heat pump dryer, that condenser is being cooled actively by a dedicated cooling circuit. So it's not just a condenser, it's a heat exchanger. And so that's really where the difference lies. You don't have to heat up the drum as much, and then the heat exchanger itself does a way better job at condensing moisture from that warm airstream that's coming through your machine. And the other thing is it's a closed circuit.
Right.
So it's more sealed. You're not going to notice, whereas with a condenser you would notice a change in atmosphere slightly because the machine is not running on such a sealed circuit. And you also need higher, it is definitely a higher energy consumer than a typical heat pump dryer.
And I think one thing to worth noting, Mike, about specifically Miele's T1 heat pump dryer is from the electrical standpoint. From an efficiency, that's why you can actually use a regular 120, 110 plug to actually plug a dryer in, which is pretty much not heard of in the North American market. And I think that's a big difference too.
No, that's 100% a big difference. And just to remind people that this washing machine comes with a standard wall plug, and the dryer, like Kelly just mentioned, is a standard NEMA 1530 wall plug. And so you actually do not need a big dryer plug that you would typically see in some laundry rooms. So it gives you the added flexibility to move your dryer around as well. And while we're talking about installation, we'll just quickly mention that these two washers are, the washer and the dryer are on our pedestals. This does a great job of raising the units off of the floor by about 16 inches or so, which makes it, for me, I think, ideal height for reaching in and picking out those stubborn socks that are hiding in there. So really nice storage capability as well, and really well built. I don't have my car keys on me, Kelly, but let's try that scissors.
There you go.
The front of this machine is a baked-on enamel finish. I just want to point out that the machine is built to last 20 years. That's the internal componentry, but also from the outside. This machine in year 10 will look as good as it does right now coming off the assembly line. It's really meant to give you this emotional kind of feeling that, with its Lotus white exterior finish, but it's also resistant to scratches, corrosion, and really meant to look really nice as the years turn into decades. We are a company that is super focused on not following the trend for disposable appliances. We are not a throwaway appliance. When you get this in your home, we've built it with the design principles of 20 years of service. And so not only is the machine on the outside going to look good, but the professional brushless motors inside, for example, virtually silent. Here we are doing a talk.
You would never even really know
that
it's actually happening there.
So it's pretty amazing. The one sound that we do hear is the water running into the drain. And of course, we don't make plumbing.
So Kim, I really hope that we were able to at least answer some of the initial questions you have in regards to heat pump versus condensing. One point I'd like to make to all our viewers is that we launched a new service last week, which is the Miele Virtual Sales Consultation Service. And this is where you're actually able, through mielelive.ca, to book a one-on-one appointment with one of our product experts like Mike. It won't be Mike because Mike's actually helping us here, but one of our other product experts. And you'll actually be able to converse in a two-way video conversation where they actually would be, if you're interested in laundry, they would actually be standing right in front of an actual laundry machine, be able to open it for you, answer any questions you have. It's a private one-on-one consultation. So I would advise any of you that are interested in those products and just have a bit more questions before buying, use our new virtual sales consultation service that's available on mielelive.ca. You can book an appointment there. Mike, is it time to have a look?
We were just doing our final Ritz. We got 5 minutes on the program, but I'm chomping at the bit here. I really want to see
there are some more questions, if you don't
do
mind, if we can tackle those then. Susan, thanks for joining us as well. Susan has a question as to how do you switch back and forth from twin dose to Woolens detergents that come in the bottle and not in the cap dose? Yeah,
great question, Susan. So when you start the machine or the washing system in our W1 washing units, you're going to select your program, but you're also going to be able to select your wash options. And then you can't really see it here because it's in operation, but you'll be able to select from twin dose or cap dose as well, right in these particular options up here. So if I was using, I don't know if we can catch this here, if I was using twin DOS, it's going to ask me if my load is white. It would also ask me what my soiling level is. But if I wanted to use cap dose, there's a little icon that's not lit up here again because it's not operational. But you would select cap here, and then that would default the machine to then look for detergent from the single-use cap. That's the specialty detergent that we were talking about earlier. And so also if you were using, for example, if you were just using fabric detergent, you can turn auto dose off completely. And then you would do that right at the start of the program as well. Just want to really quickly mention while we're talking about detergents, we also have, our standard Ultra Phase 1 and 2 cartridges, which are great for 90%, but let's face it, some people out there are especially sensitive to
very good point, yes.
detergents, have skin conditions, eczema, rosacea, sensitivities from an allergy point of view. And so we launched a lineup of Ultra Phase 1 and 2 that's especially easy on the skin.
And it's called Sensitive?
It's a pretty good name for it, Kelly, way to go. The Sensitive Ultra Phase 1 and Ultra Phase 2 cartridges that can be loaded instead of our standard detergents.
Perfect. So maybe we can also, while we wait for the final cycle, there's two more topics. Susan has a second question. So Susan says that ticks can be killed if you put in your clothes in the traditional dryer for 10 minutes on high temperature. What program would be equivalent in the heat pump dryer?
Yeah, so we've heard of this happening with a typical, our heat pump dryers don't get as hot as a typical dryer would, and we do that A, for efficiency, B, for fabric care. So we would say kill your ticks in the washer.
Correct.
Dry your clothes in the drying system. I certainly would think that that's the best kind of solution in this particular situation. With the sanitized program, you're getting up to 75 degrees Celsius out here, and I would venture a guess to say that most ticks would not survive at that temperature. And we're doing multiple interim rinses at those high temperatures as well, so it's pretty effective when it comes to the killing of organisms, I'd say, such as a tick. So, and then the drying would take place in the drying system. Just to remind people, it's not just your clothes don't come out at cold temperatures, because there is a cooling circuit down here. They come out generally just above room temperature. You can enact higher temperatures, but you'll never get as high as a conventional dryer, and we've explained some of the benefits.
Right, because you really actually shouldn't, in a lot of cases, do that for the purposes of fabric.
Correct.
To take care of the fabric.
Yeah.
So as we wait for the final rinse to happen, Mike, I just want to remind our viewers out there that if you are interested, and many of you have had the question about how to buy Miele products right now. Certainly in these very unique circumstances, a lot of our retail partners are closed. Our Miele Experience Centers are currently still remain closed across the country. What options do we have? So first of all, when it comes to things like our detergents, our dish tabs, our Miele coffee beans, all these type of things can be purchased on miele.ca, actually including appliances as well as coffee machines, dishwashers, laundry. Miele.ca, available 24/7 to you for these type of products here, detergents, our vacuum cleaners, again, our countertop coffee machines. There's free shipping right now, regardless of how much you buy. We want to make it easier and convenient for you, so that's available on miele.ca. For other major domestic appliances, if you're interested in buying as well, there are different options for you, again, miele.ca, but also through this new virtual sales consultation we talked about. That's another way. During that consultation, we can actually take your order during that session. Our Miele delivery, installation, and technical service areas of our business and services remain open across the country. We have amended our processes for the safety of you, our customers, as well as our internal team. Be sure to visit miele.ca to find out what those services are. I also just want to say for our retail partners that are out there, you can go on miele.ca and our retailer locator to find out which is the closest retailer to you, and make sure and contact them to see if they're open. I do want to do a call out to those some of those retailers across the country who have invited their guests to join us on Miele Live. So from the West Coast, a little bit earlier than we are here in Toronto, Trail Appliances, Midland Appliances, Jerome Appliances, Avenue Appliances, and Baker Appliances. Thanks to you guys. On the East Coast side, we have Creative Appliances as well as Almar Appliances in Montreal. And in our central region here in the GTA, we have Tasco Appliances, Goman's Appliances, as well as Appliance Canada. Thank you for inviting your customers to join us on Miele Live. Mike, I heard the click, so I think the rose is done because I plan to take that rose home.
All right.
So I'm going to let you open it.
Okay, the veritable moment of truth. Let's see what we got here. Okay.
Wow.
Freshly washed rose. That looks like an intact rose to me.
It does.
Are we going to pin this on your lapel, perhaps?
Well, no, I have to use it as a gift for Mother's Day.
Of course,
so,
there you go.
That's fantastic.
Very romantic of me.
Freshly, it's almost like it's totally fresh. So that's absolutely amazing, Mike.
So, again, we are not in the business of washing flowers or plants in general, but it is, I think, a testament to the capabilities of a laundry system that can deliver. We just have done a 28-minute program that demonstrates some of the variables that we've controlled to give you the ultimate as far as fabric care. So that's a pretty cool demonstration. But of course, this is meant to take care of the investment you're making in fashion, or maybe taking care of the heirlooms that you would wish to pass on maybe to future generations, and do that with peace of mind in a Miele laundry system.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was actually really exciting. I'm
you,
glad
Kelly.
you got your Mother's Day shopping done
All
right
done.
here, so you can take that with you. We want to thank all of you for joining us today on really informative, and hopefully we've provided some great tips for you on really what we, again, Mike talked about, called Miele fabric care, beyond just laundry care itself. Again, Mother's Day coming up this weekend. Another opportunity, we all want to continue to make sure we try to celebrate as much as possible, whether it's birthdays, Mother's Day, anniversary. Another option on Miele.ca is the Miele e-gift card. It's a great way to share a gift with friends or family, so be sure to look out for that. At 3 o'clock, we're going to be back. We're going to be doing some live baking and giving you some ideas for the kids as well to make that homemade gift for mom or grandma this weekend as we all remain home. And then at 5 o'clock, another great gift idea, not necessarily for mom, but to make cleaning easier for you so you can spend more time with mom. We're going to talk about our Miele RX2 robotic vacuum cleaner. So Mike's going to be back next week with some, we're going to have a little bit of fun cooking a little bit next week, so look forward to that. Again, want to thank all of you for joining us. Be sure to turn on your notification button to get the latest news on our videos. Hit the subscribe button and you'll be able to see when we're on next with Miele Live. Very, very lastly, I want to say on behalf of Mike, myself, and the entire Miele team, we want to send a very big thank you to all the frontline essential workers that are out there providing all the necessary services for Canadians right now, whether it's medical services, ensuring that our grocery stores are open and stocked for all of us to buy groceries, public transportation. So all of you, we want to send a great big thank you for your bravery during this time and your dedication. So just want to say thank you to all of you, wish you all the best, and we hope to see you next time on Miele Live.